Hey guys, welcome back to Marketing Food Online. This is Damian Roberti, your host. And this podcast is all about bringing your food recipes to the market. If you are looking for advice on how to create a recipe where you can label the product, if you need to package the product, if you're trying to market it, if you're selling it online, if you're looking to get it in retail stores, at whatever stage that you're at in the development of your food product, this is the podcast for you. So let's get started. So this episode today, I want to discuss a little known fact actually about the FDA Nutritional Labeling Exemption Program. If you haven't heard about this, I'm going to talk into detail on how you can actually use this at your advantage and save you a ton of money on having to get nutritional analysis done on your food products. When you're starting out, of course, in a small food business, money is always a challenge. Trying to appropriate the certain amount of money to start a food business. Most of the time, of course, it's done from home, as many businesses are, and it starts off very small with the objective to grow the business into something more. So, one exemption that you can actually apply for, and it's actually pretty interesting. I came across this a few years ago. I did, I think, one YouTube video, if I'm not mistaken, on this exemption. But the FDA actually has a program that will allow you to get exemption on a specific product. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say you have 12 different types of food products. You have to actually apply for the exemption on each individual product basis, okay? So the FDA allows, if you create less than 100,000 units a year, and you have fewer than 100 full-time employees, that will allow you to apply for the exemption, and that way it will exempt you from having to create a nutritional analysis information for your labeling itself. Now, you do, of course, have to put the ingredient listing on there, and there's a few other things I'll cover in this podcast that, of course, are standard you've got to put on your label when it comes to labeling a food product. But for this specific exemption, it is definitely something you need to look into. And I'll actually, let me take a look here. The website is just go to the FDA.gov website, and in the search box in the top, just type in Small Business Nutrition Labeling Exemption. Okay, Small Business Nutrition, sorry about that, Labeling Exemption. Okay, and once you do that, that's actually going to bring up the page, and that'll tell you in depth, specifically more about it. But it's a great program to apply for, and it's done, like I said before, on an individual basis. Meaning that each item individually, if it falls in that criteria of 100,000 or fewer products sold a year of that item, you can get exemption for that. And of course, you can't have over 100 full-time employees in your facility. So check that out, and that would definitely help you out. Now, the other thing is I get a lot of times is that I just got done assisting a company, actually a beverage company, with figuring out their labeling for their nutritional claims, the nutrient claims program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but the nutrition claim, if you're making a claim about the health benefits of your product, let me explain to you briefly what that would mean. When you get a nutritional claim, means any type of representation which would state or suggest as well as imply that a food has a particular nutritional property, including but not limited to the energy value and the content of proteins or fats or carbohydrates. So if you had let's say you had an energy drink and you made a claim that this drink will make your energy increase, and you guarantee it, and you make those types of claims, the actual exemption program will not apply to your product. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing anything that makes a health claim, that eating or consuming that product that you're making is going to benefit the consumer with their energy levels, if it's going to benefit them with some type of digestive problems, or if it's a health problem that your product can remedy or make them feel better, and when you begin to make those claims, those are considered health claims. So you won't be able to get exemption for that. Just keep that in mind. If you're making just regular old chocolate candy of some kind and you just don't make enough, you don't meet those 100,000 units or so, but you're not making any health claims on it, that type of a product would fall in line for the exemption, which is perfectly fine. But when you begin to make a health claim about the food product, it has to be analyzed, and it's got to go through a whole process, and it's got special type of labeling that has to go through the FDA. And again, on that website page that I just told you about, that's going to explain a little bit more about that as well. But just do keep that in mind. If you're making those types of claims, you won't be able to get that exemption. So maybe you're asking, why would I need to seek that exemption? When you're first starting out, of course, in a food business, as I mentioned, money being on a budget, maybe you're doing it on a shoestring budget. You don't want to invest a lot of money in nutritional analysis because it can be expensive up front. And if you've got multiple products or multiple items, that just multiplies your expense. So if you have an opportunity to take advantage of saving that money and having to have a product analyzed and broken down and all that good stuff for your nutritional label, that way you can save that money. You can put that into some other resource or direct that into some other expenditure you may have for your business. So definitely something you want to check out. I want to keep this podcast actually short and sweet. That's pretty much what I wanted to discuss. So definitely check that out, that website again, fda.gov, and read up as much as you can on this subject because it would definitely save you quite a bit of money if you're looking to bring a food product to market and you can get that type of an exemption. So just keep in mind, the only thing is that once you reach that peak, let's say in January of this year, you applied for this exemption and you got it, and your food product exceeds halfway through the year, you're selling 200,000 units. At that point in time, you probably want to go ahead and invest into having a nutritional analysis done of the product. So you're labeling moving forward because you won't be able to have that exemption at that point. And let's say you're in a couple hundred grocery stores. Obviously, you're selling more than 100,000 units. So you want to definitely not apply for that. And this is, again, just to help the small businesses and small food businesses get up and running. And it's not something you want to definitely use if you're going to exceed that amount. So I do hope that explains that labeling exemption to you. I've had quite a few people actually ask me about that. I did a brief, like I said before, YouTube video, and then a few people had emailed me just to wanted to understand a little bit more about what it can do for them. So thank you guys again for the podcast, for listening, and I hope to see you on the next one. Check out my YouTube channel if you have not checked it out yet, if you are new to marketing food online. And as well, I just got a handful of new subscribers that I'm super excited about doing the email consulting program. And that is something that I have on my site. I'll put some information in the description of the podcast. So thank you again, guys, and do take care.